Hi there, it's me, Danny. I thought I would walk you through a project that is sort of fun, and I think you'll like seeing me go through the different steps and seeing a before and after. I'm here in our apartment in New York City, and I recently got this amazing credenza. I'll pop it up right here. You can see the before. We were at a sample sale at West Elm, and was looking around trying to find stuff. There was one thing that really stood out, which was this gray $40 credenza. Yes, you heard me right. $40, only $40. That's crazy. I liked it. I wasn't a huge fan of gray. I feel like there's a lot of white and gray that's going on when you go to like Home Depot or Lowe's. It dominates cheap renovations, and it screams of indecisive, sort of vanilla aesthetic choices. Go neutral, go gray. Anyway, it had great bones. It looks very mid-century modern. I'll post some detail shots you could see. And I bought it, I lugged it home in our car all the way back to our place here. And I immediately started thinking of different ways to make it more cool, make it cooler, make it more mod, pop a color maybe. Our place, we have a lot of like wood tones and sort of natural texture. So I was thinking it might be a nice moment to do something bold, go bold. So I thought I'd walk you through the process. So here she is. She's really large, and she weighed about 5 times as much as you think something this size would weigh. It's pretty nice. It's not MDF, it's not particle board, it's like plywood. There's some veneer here. It's a color that's gray. Like I said, not a huge fan of gray. I already used wood putty to patch up some of the holes. These are drawers. Might use this to store records, or just stuff we use in the living room a lot. And yeah, so I thought I'd walk you through my process for brainstorming different ways this could look. I'll show you maybe the first option, sort of greenish, this viridian pop of color. I know this is like a color that I've seen lately in interiors, and it really just feels fresh and modern. Leaving some of the wood trim maybe. Another idea was maybe go black with the trim. Then started thinking that maybe it's just too much of one color. So we started playing around with something a little bit more mod. And here you could see playing around with different color pops, having different moments that feel sort of mid-century. Really tried to fine-tune what colors went well together. And like I said, our place right now has a lot of wood tones. So I thought it'd be nice to introduce something just a little bit more modern. And here was the winning choice. My partner helped me pick out what handles he thought would go really nice with the credenza, something a little bit more modern and streamlined. And yeah, so the next step was ordering the paint and going to pick it up. Just thought I'd show how beautiful of a day it is. It's the winter right now and it's been really cloudy, but today is really sunny and the sky is so blue. Really nice day to be productive and go out and about and get stuff done. Love it. All right, I'm back home now, and I thought I would just show you what I picked up at the Benjamin Moore store, so you can see how affordable and easy it is. The first thing to notice is this ready patch. So this is actually not very cheap, actually. I was hoping they'd have a smaller jar of it, but this stuff's really great. It's basically wall filler like if you have a hole in your wall, it is super fast drying. So you put it on and then in like less than 5 minutes, it's ready to sand. And I got this because you could see some of the wood grain is really textured on the surfaces here. And while I want this to feel sort of like wood, I sort of want this to feel like Formica or some sort of like flatter surface. The other thing that's really cool is that most Benjamin Moore retailers, you can pick up just a sample color. And so I did that for each of these surfaces. You can see I got my blue, I got my yellow. So I got quite a few of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Got 7 colors. They're $5 each, which is really nice because if you want to get a bunch of colors and you're doing a project, acrylic paint can be really expensive, but for this you get almost like a quarter pint, or maybe, I don't know, how much is this? 7.25 ounces. So yeah, you get quite a bit of paint for only $5, cheaper than using acrylic tubes. And then for the entirety of the trim and the wraparound, I got this shade of brown in matte paint, and this was $20. So $20, $5 each, and you got yourself a project. So next step up is putting some of the Ready Patch on the surfaces. So as you can see, I took the drawers off of the credenza, and now using the Ready Patch, just gonna scoop this in and just very lightly go across the surface. I'm not putting a very thick coat. I just wanna fill in some of the texture here. I know it's not gonna remove all the texture, but I think it might do a good job at just knocking it back just a little bit. So I'll just do a fast forward through this part. And the other thing to do is just go lightly over any nicks or dings that exist in the surface with this fast drying putty. All right, doing that took a lot more time than I thought, but we filled in a lot of the grain on the surface of these. The next step is to give everything a sanding. I'm not gonna go crazy with the sanding. I just wanted to have a sort of like rough pass. And the reason we do that is because when you apply paint to something, if there isn't a tooth on the actual surface, the paint won't have anything to grip onto, and sometimes it can flake off or chip off or bubble off. And by tooth, I just mean like a texture. So by sanding it and roughing it up, you create a texture that the paint can actually sink into. So just interesting to know. And I'm gonna go ahead and start sanding this. I just wanted to get a little close up here because some of you might be interested in this. I mean, definitely not what we're going for, but you can see after applying the plaster and then sanding and then wiping off, it actually creates this really cool effect where you see the wood grain in white set against a darker wood. I believe this is called boohoo chic, like bohemian boohoo chic. So this might be something you're into if you like boohoo chic, bohemian. But we are gonna now go ahead with our base coat, which is like a darker brown, and give this a pass before we add the pops of color. Here is our base coat. It's sort of like a warm brown. Before I go at this with a roller for a more even texture, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna edge out from the corners on the inside. It's called edging. And what that just means is that you get into the corners and the crevices where the paint roller won't get to. And it allows you to not have to go back and do sort of like a second pass here. And you just sort of run a brush, a smaller brush, over this quickly, before you, like I said, before you pick up the roller. And I'm just gonna speed through this process and get to the roller. There we go, got the flash in there. So this sort of shows you what I mean. Basically just getting the edges. And then it makes it easier when you go in with the roller.
And I'm also just edging the inside of these drawers before I hit it with a roller as well.
And for rolling out, I got one of these smaller rollers with a low tack sleeve. One thing that you could do to make it easy for cleanup and also for needing less paint trays is just cover it with saran wrap or aluminum foil. And that way, when you're done, easy cleanup, just lift it off. And for my case, since I have so many different colors for all the surfaces, it'll be really nice just to have like one tray, paint the surface, remove the saran wrap, and then get to the next one. So it makes it a little easier.
Really liking this color. And since I didn't spackle over the wood grain on these surfaces, it'll still sort of retain that wood look, but just won't be this shade of gray, which I don't like. It'll still sort of feel like wood, but be painted.
Another thing I'll be doing is not removing these, although you might want to do a really thorough job and remove these rails, but I'm just going to hit them with more of like a fine art brush, and this allows me to get much closer without needing to spend a ton of time taping off. Sorry, I'm holding the camera while doing this, but you get the idea. You just go slow and steady, and you can get nice and close. Oops, sorry. Nice and close without needing to tape off. See?
By the way, I am sorry for the beeping that you're hearing in the background. We have a smoke detector that needs a battery replaced, but we don't currently have access to a ladder, so we can't reach it. My apologies. And even though we know that we're going to paint the surface on the insides, sort of inlay, different pops of color, it's nice to use the sort of base coat of brown all along the insides and edges so that we don't have to tape off twice. And then also it just makes sure that when we do tape off to paint the colors that they go right to the edge, so the brown meets the colors right on the inside. Really happy with this shade of brown. It's not too cold, it's not too warm. I feel like with neutral colors, sometimes they skew, too blue or too reddish, but this feels really nice. It feels very wood-like, especially against the colors of the floors here. You can see it matches very nicely. And now we are going to roll out the top surface of the credenza. This is very gratifying. It feels really nice pushing the paint around here. And this is going to be the color that'll be exposed, not painted over with the pops of color. So I want to get a really nice good coat on this. Once again, just really happy with the color of this. You can see with the floor over there peeking on the right side how the color of the brown here feels like it's a part of the same family, the same hue. Another thing which is interesting to consider when you're picking a paint to base coat a piece of furniture that you're refinishing is just to be aware of what sort of sheen you want. Do you want something matte? Do you want something to reflect light? For my purposes, I really wanted this to look like a sort of natural wood, and for that, a flat or a matte paint worked really well. There we go, we got most of it covered.
Now, this might be sort of stupid and obvious, but one of the tools that I use the most when I'm doing paint jobs, just to speed it along, and God knows we don't have time to sit and watch paint dry, is a hairdryer. It's super useful. It seems sort of silly, but you just blast the different wet spots that are here, speed up the process so that you can do your second coat, or just make sure that it's like really, really bone dry before you start taping off and doing extra work. But yeah, I'm just gonna blast these now with the hair dryer to make sure that they're dry and get any spots that I might have missed.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Someone wants a cameo. Just about finished painting the base coat, this brown color. And as you can see, it's the winter time right now, so it's getting dark, sundown around 4 o'clock, so the lighting's really bad. I think it's smart to just like let the base coat dry overnight, so it's really, really solid dry. And then tomorrow morning, we'll pick this back up and we'll start working on the different pops of color. All right, it's day 2. Good morning. The sun is out. The light is so much better. Last we checked in, I had given the entire credenza a base coat of brown. And now we are going to go in and add different pops of colors to the surfaces on each of the drawers. Okay, and now removing the tape. This is always a gratifying part of the process. I'm gonna go slowly, especially if it's still a little bit wet. And you might see blips, like literally right there. But I'm gonna show you what I do next to just give it like a really nice crisp edge, which is go over it with a liner brush. But yeah, just going really slowly. And you sort of want to go at like a 45-degree angle as you peel up, because if you peel towards where you painted, it's more likely to rip up the paint. That is unless you let it dry for like a day. But you can see just going, once again, at that 45-degree angle. Ooh, that is so gratifying. There you go. Let's see if we could hit that corner. Keep going. Yeah. There's a blip. Don't worry, we'll get that with a liner brush. Keep going. All right. So some of you may or may not know this, but this is the secret weapon for any painter or person who takes part in painting projects. It's called the liner brush, and it's super pointy. And if you get it wet with some paint, you can see it comes to a really nice point. It's a very long brush, so it can hold a lot of paint in the actual hairs. So you can keep going, and I'll show you what, let me just switch hands because I'm right-handed here. So for moments where you see a blip, just going back over with that original color and just getting the blip, smoothing it out. Here's another little moment. You know, this is like perfectionist stuff. Not that I'm perfect, but if you really care about these little edges, just running a brush over the blips goes a really long way to just making it feel a little bit tighter. There you go. So it looks like there actually might be like some wood glue or something right here from the original furniture treatment. So that stuff you can't really get rid of, but little blips that the painter's tape leaves behind, you should feel free to just go on and smooth out. Get more paint on the brush. Just give it a nice pass. And most art supply stores should have these liner brushes. You just gotta look for them. I bet you if you even ask the person who works there, they won't know what a liner brush is. So just look for a brush like this that's long and pointy and thin. One thing to note that is sort of interesting, and you might run into if you're using red paint, is that out of my experience working with paint, which has been quite some time, over 10 years, it's the least pigmented. So if you're getting Benjamin Moore red in any shade, you're gonna need to do way more coats than you think you will. And I could see right away just putting one coat on here, I'll probably need to do like 4 coats of red. But yeah, just something to note, sort of interesting. I think it has to do with the fact that red and cadmium and these colors that make red, the pigments, are actually the most expensive out of any other color. So just something to note and sort of interesting. right, so there you go. All the different panels have been painted. I went in and did little touch-ups with that liner brush that I told you about. And next up is essentially applying the handles and some table legs. One thing that I might do, let me get you close here, is I might actually use a clear poly on the surface here. Just, you know, imagine putting glasses down here, or if there's heavy furniture like a desk lamp or a record player, over time it might get worn down. But if you have like a poly or something, it makes it a little bit more durable. So I think that is something I might do just on this top surface. But aside from that, I went ahead and I ordered handles for all the different surfaces in like a matte black finish. Looks sort of modern. I'll put a link in the description below if you're interested in where I got those handles from. But those should be arriving in a day or so. So until then, I will see you on day 3 when we install the handles and legs and get this thing in its sort of final state. But I'm really digging those color pops. I don't know about you guys, but I think that looks really fresh and modern. It went from being a really boring gray drab color to something just a little bit more energetic and modern. So I will see you tomorrow on day 3 for installing the handles. Hello, it's day 3 of this credenza refinishing project. And the good news is, I was wondering if they were gonna arrive this week. And they did. I have the table legs, they arrived in the mail. Sorry, the credenza legs. And I have all the different handles that can go onto the different drawers and whatnot. So to start, I'm gonna have my husband come help me move this incredibly heavy credenza. Like I said, it weighs like 5 times more than it should. He's gonna help me flip it over to its back, probably that way. That way I could attach the legs, and then we'll lift it and put it down in one foul swoop instead of like pivoting it, because that could knock the legs off. Yeah, so next step is getting this thing on its side. So another thing I'm gonna do, because I'm crazy, that you might not need to do, but if you wanted to add legs like this and you ordered them from some cheapo place like I did, you'll notice that the what do you call it? These are sort of like the protective sort of footers are really loose. So I'm gonna do 2 things. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use some crazy glue just to really make sure that these stay put and don't scratch up my floors. So I'm gonna just add a little dollop right there on either side. And then I'm gonna go ahead and plop that on. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add another little dollop on either end of the leg. And so that's the first thing I'll do. The second thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some felt pads. I've had situations in the past where I thought a piece of furniture was great and, you know, was padded, and I was on a chair, I scooted back and it scratched a huge line into our wood floor. So I've been sort of, you know, traumatized in the past. So you could easily get one of these like gigantic packs of felt pads that literally have every size you could need, and just have that somewhere tucked in storage for any home project you might have. And that's what I did. And lo and behold, I suddenly have a project that I needed for. So the cool thing about this is you can see which size pad works best for what you're doing. And for these legs, this pad works the best. So you can see this, unstick them really easily. And then just plop that, whoops, plop it right in the middle. And then I saw it pull out a little bit. I don't know if you caught that. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of extra insurance right here. then just let it sit and dry. There you go. So do that to all 4 legs and then attach them. There we have it. It has legs. Really, really digging how these legs have like a modern feeling that sort of complements the 60s vibe that this has. Feels very mid-century, 1963. Has a slight sort of industrial look. Yeah, really happy about how these legs look. So next up, we are going to install all these handles. So let's open this up and make some sense of it. All right, so the kit came with, I think it was 10 handles. I've got 3 for these drawers, 2 for the middle cabinets, and then 3 for these drawers right here. And I'll show you once again my little Photoshop mock-up. And you can see I really wanted the handles placed right in the middle. Right there. I think that just looks really nice. Here, I could show you like on one of the middle drawers with a color pop. You can imagine with the black legs, and the black handles, how nicely it sort of ties them together. And it's matte black, which I think ties in nicely with the sort of matted look of the whole thing. But yeah, so next step is to actually mark out the center for this. And then I'm gonna just mark where the holes are with a chalk pencil, and then pre-drill the holes to screw the handles in. The handles come with these little screws that come in from this side, so it sandwiches the shelf really nicely. All right, let's get started. There we go, one handle. I think these things get easy once you figure it out, and then once you have like a system, you'll do the rest. So in the spirit of moving this along a little quickly, let me put this on time lapse and you can see me installing all of the handles. And there she is. This pretty much wraps up the project, adding the handles and the legs. I'm really, really happy with how this turned out and how it sort of ties in some of the colors from the room. Really feel like the before. I'll show you again the before. That sort of drab gray, without the sort of, moments of interest. Went from sort of being boring to something a lot more lively. I'm really happy. I also, if you noticed, I also switched the way that the cabinet doors open from the middle. I don't know why, but before they open from the outside. I also lowered the inside shelf a bit so I could fit records in there. So if we wanted to, we could put our record player up here and then have the records down there. And yeah, the drawers, really smooth. I have no idea how much something like this would retail for if you bought it new like this, but just a reminder, I got it for $40 at a West Elm sample sale. Put in about 30 bucks, maybe 40 bucks of paint and hardware. And so for under 100 bucks, I got this really cool custom credenza that feels modern and mid-century. So now let's call my husband down and see what he says.
Whoa, that is crazy. Holy wow, these look so good. Are you so happy?
Yes. Really, really pleased with this. Awesome. I know you're gonna, so he'll probably style this and add objets and placement and stuff like that. So
This object right here.
yeah. So I'll probably put a little footage at the end, outro, just showing you how he winds up styling it in our home. Yeah. Good morning. It's the next day. We have really beautiful light coming in right now. And as you can see, we've gone ahead and started putting things where they belong around the credenza, inside the shelves. And I'm just really, really happy with how it turned out. We get sort of close here. You can see it works really nicely for the record player and like starting to put records inside. My partner loves scented candles, so we got a lot of candles in the drawer here, some incense. But yeah, I'm just really happy with the modern look of the credenza compared to the before. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed my content, feel free to give me a like, and subscribing would be really great. It really helps me out, really helps drive the metrics and whatnot. Also in the comment section, let me know what you think. Is this what you would have done? Would you have done something differently? Have you had a project like this that you did? Any tips or tricks that you want to put down in the comment section? I have a really lovely community of people that leave comments on my videos, so I just want to make it a place where you guys can also share tips and tricks that you come across as you work on projects. But once again, this is Danny. Hope you enjoyed this video, and be well. Bye.